development. Let's work together to make your business a part of an exciting future unfolding in the Free State. A city of growth and innovation, Bloemfontein, the city of roses, Pereng Etzwe, governed by the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality, the judicial capital of South Africa. Centrally located, making it a hub for business and trade. With direct access to the country's major highways, it serves as a gateway to other regions like Gauteng, the Northern Cape, and Eastern Cape. This ideal location offers ease of connectivity and access to the rest of Southern Africa. Bloemfontein is one of the country's main economic centers, offering diverse sectors for investment. Home to the prestigious University of the Free State and various research institutions, providing opportunities for investment in the education sector. Bloemfontein sits in the heart of South Africa's agricultural region, with nearby fertile lands, with large-scale farming and agribusinesses. The city is undergoing rapid development with new shopping malls, office spaces, and residential developments. The demand for housing and commercial real estate is steadily increasing. Bloemfontein has seen major improvements in infrastructure, including roads, airport, and telecommunications. This, along the initiatives to modernize the city's public services, ensures the investors have access to world-class facilities and resources. As the judicial capital of South Africa, Bloemfontein is home to key government institutions, providing a stable political environment for investors. Government initiatives also aim to boost the city's business environment. The Free State, a growing province with endless potential, together Bloemfontein and Botshabelo present a unique blend of urban growth, economic potential, and infrastructure development, making Free State a prime destination for investment in South Africa. By investing in Bloemfontein and Botshabelo, you are not just investing in two South Africa's most strategic urban areas, you're investing in the future of a growing province that offers long-term returns supported by strong infrastructure, a competitive workforce, and a commitment to sustainable development.
Can I speak in private?
Let's work together to make your business a part of an exciting future unfolding in the Free State. A city of growth and innovation, Bloemfontein, the city of roses, Pereng Etzwe, governed by the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality, the judicial capital of South Africa. Centrally located, making it a hub for business and trade. With direct access to the country's major highways, it serves as a gateway to other regions like Gauteng, the Northern Cape, and Eastern Cape. This ideal location offers ease of connectivity and access to the rest of Southern Africa. Bloemfontein is one of the country's main economic centers, offering diverse sectors for investment. Home to the prestigious University of the Free State and various research institutions, providing opportunities for investment in the education sector. Bloemfontein sits in the heart of South Africa's agricultural region, with nearby fertile lands, with large-scale farming and agribusinesses. The city is undergoing rapid development with new shopping malls, office spaces, and residential developments. The demand for housing and commercial real estate is steadily increasing. Bloemfontein has seen major improvements in infrastructure, including roads, airport, and telecommunications. This, along the initiatives to modernize the city's public services, ensures the investors have access to world-class facilities and resources. As the judicial capital of South Africa, Bloemfontein is home to key government institutions, providing a stable political environment for investors. Government initiatives also aim to boost the city's business environment. The Free State, a growing province with endless potential, together Bloemfontein and Botshabelo present a unique blend of urban growth, economic potential, and infrastructure development, making Free State a prime destination for investment in South Africa.
To Mangaung. Mangaung Metro is the municipality geographically and historically at the heart of South Africa, and it comprises of towns such as Bloemfontein, Botshabelo, Tabanchu, Soutpan, Wepenach, and Diversdorp. It offers a diverse range of opportunities that positions us as one of the premier and ideal destinations in South Africa to live, work, and invest in. Not only that, but has also positioned themselves as the top performing province in South Africa for matric results, holding position 1 for 8 years in a row. The city is the judicial capital of South Africa and the provincial capital of the Free State province. The diversified economy of Mangaung is the largest contributor to the provincial GDP and the largest employer of the Free State province. The metro has an advanced transport and logistics system that accelerates the movement of goods and services within it, and providing critical linkages with other parts of the country, including the Kingdom of Lesotho. All major national freeways, including the N1, N6, N8, and rail network, traverse through the city and consequently positioning the metro as a critical backbone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
for logistics.
We are about to start. Can those that are at the foyer please come back inside? Ushers, can you please assist? Where are the ushers? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can start. But before we continue with our program, I would want us to acknowledge a few of our dignitaries that have arrived and graced this event occasion with their presence. Members of the Provincial Executive Committee. We have the Honorable MEC Teboho Mokoena, who is the MEC for Kokta and Human Settlement. We also have the Honorable MEC Magume. Don't see him. He's still coming. Who is the MEC Destia and our Provincial Treasurer, and also the DDM champion in Mangaung Metro. Honorable members, a very warm welcome, and thank you so much for joining us for this occasion. We also have other executive mayors. We have Executive Mayor from Lejwe-Leputswa District Municipality, Councillor Veronica Ndagumbana. I didn't butcher it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us as executive mayors from other regions to ensure that we make this event a success. Ushers, I have asked that those that are at the foyer, you let them come in so that we don't have a disturbance from the back. Otherwise, close the door. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving ahead swiftly with our program. We're going to have two presentations that would be speaking on one of our current investors, and the other one will be on ICT. You would recall that we had questions that were speaking about the fact that we are still paper dependent or so forth. I think we are transitioning towards a paperless institution. So such an investment will also be crucial for us to see how we improve our systems as a metro. And that is also an opportunity for investors to check in. So we're going to have a presentation. We're going to start with a presentation from Mr. Zolani Twiliza. He's the director of IoT Academy. It's Internet on Things Academy. He's already invested in, it's somebody who's already invested in the province. They invested in a diesel manufacturing plant that is in Botshabelo. So it's somebody that's already invested within our ranks as Mangaung. So I would like us that we give him the attention. And also, both companies that are here to invest. So let's just give that Zolani. Please come to the stage and grace us with your presentation. A warm welcome to him. This is your presentation.
Thank you, Program Director, to the Executive Mayor and his team, to the MEC.
Just a moment. I need to acknowledge. We already acknowledged, but I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable MEC Magume, our MEC, the Steer and Treasury, and also our DGM Chairperson in Mangaung. A very warm welcome, MEC. Thank you. You can continue.
Thank you. Once again, I will greet again the Executive Mayor with your senior team, the MECs present, the business sector that is also present today. My name is Zolani Twiliza. We own a technology company called IoT Academy. We have, among the technology companies that we own, another one is Keklowatch, which deals with animal tracking. We're the first black company in the world to develop the animal tracking solution. That animal tracking solution has then assisted us to fund the new entity, which is the IoT Academy. So what we do with IoT technologies, we have developed and look at a technology that recycles waste tire to manufacture diesel. And I'm happy to say, Honorable Executive Mayor, that this, what you see on the screen right now, is a delivery of that particular plant at our industrial workshop in Botshabelo. We have invested 15 million, the first phase, in this project, which we have started, and we have received the first stock in terms of the plant arrived in December. Whilst we are planning to invest another 21 million in the next 18 months, we have challenges that we would like, jointly with the city, the province, led by the Department of Economic Development. Within the 15 million that we have invested, we find ourselves spending about 2 million to prepare and make sure that the workshop is in a conducive working environment. Like, we had to start from scratch to put up your sliding doors, electric power to the workshop and all of those things. That has also taken back in terms of what we should have been putting into operations. Now we're putting in preparing the workshop. So we would like a scenario where we can work in terms of making sure that the facilities that will enable us as business to come and invest are in an adequate and sufficient manner to have such investment. This is the plant. Okay, just to summarize my presentation, what we're now looking at doing, for our plant to operate efficiently, we need a constant supply of plastic and waste tire. We therefore presented to the Department of Economic Development and said, we would like throughout the province to set up what we call buyback centers, therefore creating secondary businesses that will then supply us. These buyback centers will be set up in highly dense population, so people will just roll a tire to that particular buyback center, sell it to that entity that runs that buyback center, and the buyback center will then come and sell it to us. Therefore, enable us to maintain the constant supply of waste tire. With this, we believe what the summit was all about, where the executive mayor speak of the term, what was the term? Inclusive economy, where we then create jobs, we create businesses, sustainable businesses, but also we also deal with the issues of environmental issues, where waste tire and plastic cannot be left lingering about within the communities now, because that becomes money. So we deal with all those issues, but primarily what we call the circular economy, because then we become the main buyer for all the buyback centers that will be set up in the province. We also, I only have 15 minutes, so I'm trying to summarize everything. We also have what we call secondary opportunities and business that emerge out of this recycling of the waste tire. We intend to open what we call a training institution where we're going to train young people. Once we produce the diesel from the tire, we have what we call carbon dust, carbon black. That carbon black we use to manufacture paving blocks. So we will then create a secondary economy where we train young people on how to make paving blocks, but also how to pave the roads. And therefore, we also have a layer where we can be able to come in the townships and then we do the paving of the roads, where there is an issue already that exists with the road infrastructure. I think in summary of our presentation, I would just want to say we are a company that has already invested into the province to a tune of 15 million, with another 21 million that is coming in. We are intending to create around about 300 to 400 direct jobs immediately when our plant is up and running, which we intend to have it up and running by end of June. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was short and straight to the point. I think those that would be interested in, I think you were also speaking on waste repurposing. We've had a program of war on waste, and it was said that we should now move to waste to energy and all in that transformative part. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the presentation on the diesel plant that already exists in the Mangaung jurisdiction. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think we will take it from there in terms of also what may come during the day. But let me just get to the ICT presentation so that if there are any questions, then it is on both two presentations. The following presentation, it will be on INEX-I solutions. It will be presented by Mepalesa Madisakwani together with Ndate Richard Shogani. They are a proudly South African ICT company that is manufacturing smart gadgets. They are based in Johannesburg, and the only reason they came is to invest in Mangaung. So let us just hear from it. Thank you so much, Mepalis. Oh, but before you come, maybe you'll indicate when you'll play your video. Do you want us to play it first?
Please play the video.
Okay,
first.
so media, they are requesting that before they come first, so that we just play their video.
Thank you. Wow, yes, this is us. Honorable, we're done. Thank you. Honorable Premier, MECs, our host, Executive Mayor, all protocol observed, and to the VIPs in the house, Bagaitsu Dumelang. You know, I've got a background of being an artist, so I've always wanted to say this. Honorable, protocol observed. So thank you very much. Kalina Kepalesa Kimadisakwani, Kikokomania Hasibulai, and I am the creative director of NXI Solutions. NXI, which simply stands for Enchanted End User Experience. Now, what is NXI? NXI is an ICT company. And in NXI, we manufacture smart devices, we manufacture laptops, we manufacture desktops, we manufacture smartphones, and we manufacture tablets. So this is actually one of the laptops that we manufacture. I like this one because we call it, lifestyle. This is what we're selling, lifestyle, and especially for the ladies. So in NXI, yes, we are proudly South African, because all our products are manufactured, produced, and assembled in South Africa. So yes, we are proudly South African. And we are also compliant with all South African regulations, meaning we do have an ICASA certificate, and we are also, in regulation with CETA. So we'd like to invite you, the reason why we are here in Mangaung, we want to invest and we want to work with investors and to see how we can work together. So we want to invite you to please join us as we embark on this, taking the story of Africa, to the rest of the world, as we want to change the narrative and perception of Africa about innovation in Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome the founder and CEO of NXI Solutions, Ndate Richard Shogani. Welcome, sir. All set?
All set.
Thank you.
Greetings. Greetings to the Executive Mayor, the MEC, and the House at large. My name is Richard Shokani. I hope I'm audible enough. All right. My name is Richard Shokani, and I'm super excited to be here today because we've got super exciting news that we're going to share with the Metro of Mangaung. Well, I feel like the slogan for today should be Re Qala Re Qeta, meaning we start and we finish. I'm a teacher by profession. I teach mathematics. And I know that when you do something, you don't just do it for the sake of doing it, you must do it to see it finish. So we are here in Mangaung to make sure that there is change in Mangaung, to make sure that there is employment happening in Mangaung, to make sure that there are more economic activities happening in Mangaung. And I'm glad that I'm speaking to the right audience right now. I feel like we've been talking for too long, and I feel like we've been, as a country now, not just as Mangaung, I feel like we've been somehow complacent for quite some time, and I feel like we've been developing for too long as a country. We've been called a developing country. I remember when I was still in primary school, we've been a developing country. Till today, we are a developing country. And I think it's high time now we move from developing to developed. And it's only us who can do it. We cannot postpone it to the next generation. We've been project of other countries for quite some time. When a project is made in the US, they see us as the market because they know that we cannot produce our own. And I think it's high time now our own devices. The concept of Batupili, it simply means people first. But now the question is, Batubafing, are we talking about our own people? Because if we are talking about our own people, as I walked in here, I received a bag, a very nice bag, a laptop bag. But then I quickly noticed that it's made in China. So the concept of Batupili, I tend to then question it. Batubafing, our people or other people? Because then if this bag is manufactured in China, it means that jobs and everything else is happening in China. We are consuming. And one of the things that NXI is going to do is we're going to manufacture our laptop bags right here in Mangaung. I think that deserves a hand of applause. We have a branch in Gaborone, in Botswana, as NXI. We have our main branch is in Johannesburg. We have a branch in Eswatini. In actual fact, I'll be in Eswatini next week. We have a branch in Eswatini, and we have a branch in Zambia. We are also negotiating to see if we can get to Namibia as well. And we were also in communication with some of our colleagues in the US as well. We're going to open a branch that side. But now the beauty of having our laptop bags manufactured here in Mangaung is that all these laptop bags will be distributed in all these countries that we are making. We're not just going to make 50 laptop bags just for Mangaung. We're going to make hundreds of thousands of these laptop bags. I only have 15 minutes, so I'll try to be as succinct as possible. As you may know, I think that's now what I'm going to share with you. These are facts. As you may know, South Africa has rich deposits of key materials used in laptops, desktops, and phones. In actual fact, NXI is going to produce one of the smartest phones you have ever seen before. It's coming, and watch the space for that. Now, by producing these smart tech devices locally, obvious fact is we're going to reduce the dependence on imports, and we're going to create our own strong tech industry. We're going to attract a lot of African IT guys, the best in Africa. In actual fact, our R&D team is from South Africa. The brains behind, or are from South Africa, the brains behind the guys who are building our gadget are in South Africa. South Africa has got the best education system, it's got the best IT, the best engineers, guys. So there's no reason for us not. University of Free State, they've got a team that does the research on innovation. We can, just in University of Free State, we can build a laptop right there. In University of Free State, we can build a car right there. We've got the smartest guys right there. Well, I'm from the Witwatersrand, University of the Witwatersrand. We also have very innovative guys, right? But South Africa, as it is, we've got the best guys to build this thing. So I don't understand why, till today, we've been talking, and we have the capital, we have the powers, but we never actually create our own. Now, NXI aims to lead in transformation by manufacturing locally and developing advanced AI-driven technology. We also want to lead in AI, but not just lead in AI, we also want to take these initiatives to schools. We're going to teach our young people on how to create platforms of AI and how to use. Remember now, AI is biased. I was talking to my colleague yesterday that if you type on AI, they say, give me to search for a cute baby. You know what's going to pop up? A cute white baby. That's how biased it is. So if we build it our own, we understand our own culture. We understand we are Africans. So if we build something that talks to us, something that's African, we're also going to build our own chat platform. We're going to build our own WhatsApp platform. We're going to build our own WeChat, like the Chinese do, belonging to Africa. We're going to build an AI that can write a letter for you in Sesotho, in Sepedi, in Chivenda, in English. All right. Now, these are the key. Now, I said I'm going to be mentioning facts now. These are the key materials from South Africa. The first one is platinum. It comes from South Africa. Now, we use platinum to make the circuits. It's used in high-tech components and circuits. Now, also we use gold for the same reason, but it's for the circuit board conductivity. And chromium is used in laptops and phone casing. In actual fact, I was talking to the MD right there. He said there are a lot of opportunities in Mangaung, not just to make our bags here, but some of the components of our devices are going to be manufactured here because we've got very good universities this side. So some of our components are going to be manufactured here, and I know that the government here is going to give us the right platform to do that. Manganese, it's used to strengthen the electronic devices. Vanadium is used for also strengthening the electric devices. Now, for obvious reasons, why should we manufacture locally? Economic growth, it keeps the wealth within South Africa. Instead of paying foreign manufacturers, we do it locally. Instead of buying the bags in China, we make them locally and the money stays in South Africa. Create jobs, it boosts the GDP by building our local electronic industry. It also expands employment. It provides high-paying jobs in AI. when I was talking to my colleagues in the US, the ones who want to buy NXI, they want to get a certificate to sell NXI in the US. And my concern was, now what about BRICS? What about the gentleman who's in office now, Trump? Because he seems not to be happy with us. And the guy said, no, Trump is my friend. I've got his number, I'm going to call him. In actual fact, I talk to him on a daily basis, so don't stress about Trump. That's how excited, that's how Trump is saying Batubile that side. He wants to make sure that he cater for his people. And, but the point that I'm trying to make is, we've got Elon Musk in the US, who comes from South Africa. But I believe that in South Africa, we've got thousands of Elon Musks that we can support and help to develop as well. If we keep on buying products from overseas, we are, in actual fact, we keep on supporting the very same Elon Musk. In actual fact, we keep on depriving and marginalizing our own people by not supporting locally made products. I'm going to just skip the other ones. It lowers the cost, it reduces reliance on expensive products. Very same benefits again, continue right there. We're going to create a very strong supply chain. Now, when we're building these factories, we're going to build, remember when you're making a laptop, you can't just make it in one factory and finish it. It's impossible. You need specialized factories to do that. And for you to have those specialized factories, you need to build them in different places. You can build one in, you can have one in Johannesburg, have another one in the Eastern Cape, have another one in Mangaung, and all those will complement each other. And then we finally go into assemble. So before assembling comes manufacturing. A lot of people confuse the two. Manufacturing comes manufacturing comes before assembling. We manufacture, we make from scratch. We don't buy parts and put together. We can do that in just a blink of an eye, but we're not doing that. We are manufacturing these devices. Now, the sectors that are going to benefit from this initiative, from producing locally, as follows: education. Our education definitely, look, South Africa, we are a developing country, and we are heavily reliant on these devices. We spend billions and billions of US dollars in just procuring these devices from overseas. Just imagine if we buy these devices locally. Just a second, think about that. Now, our healthcare system as well, our healthcare, our hospitals and all that, they also depend on these, the banks, our government, and retail and e-commerce as well. I had a very interesting chat with Kijima, the gentleman. He's going to speak later. And he's also very excited about NXI, and we're going to have a very good partnership in terms of schools and all that. Now, NXI will contribute tech manufacturing jobs. We're not just going to offer tech manufacturing jobs, we're also going to teach people on how to do these things. I used to work for one of the biggest manufacturing plant in the world. I'm not going to mention its name, but most of the phones that you have, I was the quality controller of those phones. So I know exactly the processes of building these devices. So I want to share the privileges that I have with the rest of our people. We already have a team that's going to do that. So we're going to help our people, teach them on how to really do these things. And hopefully, I'm a guy of action. We're going to start working as soon as possible. The assembly line workers, phones. Now this, by just looking at this, Executive Mayor, by just looking at this, we're going to create over 1,000 jobs within 2 years here in Mangaung by just doing this. How am I with time?
Unless if you're going to pledge.
Yeah.
Okay, am I? Okay.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Hey, I get too excited, yeah, and I'll speak the whole day. All right. All right, so, yeah, these are jobs that we're going to create: AI software development jobs, AI engineers and data scientists, software developers for smart devices and cybersecurity. And these are all the jobs that we're going to create in this sector. And we as South Africans haven't really paid close attention to these. I'm not going to read them. I think we can just see. Our research R&D team is, all of them are from South Africa. I do have obviously friends from Singapore, from Malaysia, from the US, also from China, because I also stayed there for quite some time. But our R&D team is in South Africa, and NXI is proudly South African. It's a proudly South African company, meaning it belongs also to an organization called Proudly South African. I'm going to just go through the slides. That's it. In closing, I'd like to say, Bahayesu, let's not just talk about change, but let's be really the change that we want to see. Let's not really try to just encourage our people to, start their own businesses and all that, but also help them in these businesses, support them in their businesses. And NXI, really, we are excited to be in Mangaung, and we are willing to work together with the team here in Mangaung to implement everything that I've just said right now. Thank you so much, and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndate Richard. It is the passion that you've presented that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the two presentations, don't forget, the other one was on the diesel plant that is within our jurisdiction, and the last one is on ICT. Now, I want us to but let this presentation now lead us to the panel that will be speaking on smart and safe city. So I wouldn't want us to have a discussion as yet, but especially on this one on ICT, that we link it to the panel, and when we have those discussions, that we bring that up. But thank you so much for the presentation to all of you. Thank you so much for the presentations. Then I think we can still now, Ndate Duma, get to the last panel of the day. I think let's give our panelists a warm round of applause when we allow the... Yes, thank you so much. Thank you once again. The last panel of the day, it will be focusing on smart and safe city development. And our moderator is HOD Corporate Service, Mr. Moketi Duma. Whilst the HOD comes on stage, I would like to acknowledge the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of the Free State, Dr. Kobela. I'm told you are hibernating somewhere at the back. If you can just raise your hand, I'm not sure where you are. There you are. Ushers, please do the right thing. Thank you so much, DVC from the University of the Free State. This summit becomes richer and richer as all stakeholders come and join us. HOD Duma, I think you can take the stage and call your panelists. Thank you so much. Technology. Okay.
Working on it. Also, I can come. Okay, no, thanks. Thank you, Program Director. Let me then take this opportunity to greet my two honorable MECs, the Executive Mayor of the area, the Speaker, Council Whip, all MMCs present, the City Manager, my fellow colleagues. My work is currently the easiest one because I'm in charge of technology in the municipality. We have had a presentation that talks to some of the technological innovations that we think as this city we need. I'm going to be dealing with the smart and safe city development, which is a strategic approach to urban planning that leverages advanced technology and data analytics to enhance safety measures across the city, while also optimizing infrastructure, services, citizen engagement to create more efficient and livable environment for residents. Now, I will be joined by a few colleagues that I will also request and call on the stage. The first one will be Mr. Molehe Wesi, who is the CEO of a company known as Zatna. And also in your program there, the name of Mr. Johan van Rensberg appears, but I would like to indicate that we'll have Mr. King Tsoteti, who is also from Gijima, and joined by Stefan Gilland, from a company known as Core Create Technology Solution, who's the head of information cybersecurity. And the last one will be Colonel Muyeki, who is going to also talk much about the safe city. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm waiting for Colonel. At least our group is not just Lily Men, if that is the correct English to say. We are joined by a Colonel. In this space, I'm happy to have a female panelist among us. Welcome, Colonel. I must also indicate that the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in 2021 came up with a white paper on smart and safe cities. It reflects quite a number of areas that cities need to focus on in making those cities to be smart and safe. And it gives the example of the countries that are already testing this model. You go to countries like Singapore, India, not the whole of India, but certain provinces, of course, within India. And in 2022, our municipality also, participated in the smart city concept, which is a study that was commissioned by the University of Natal, or KwaZulu-Natal as it is currently known. And it highlights quite a number of things that must actually happen, because a smart and safe city encourages economic development. If your city is smart and very safe, then investors will flock in such a city. And I think one of the aspects of this summit is to also focus on how do we then bring investment in the city. Then I'll allow the panelists that we have amongst ourselves here to actually reflect and introduce themselves, just to indicate on what areas they will reflect on. Like I said, Colonel Muyeki will be reflecting on safer city, smart and safe city. And we will also have a presentation on what are the measures that the city must actually take into consideration to deal with elements of cyber security. We are the culprit. We were hard hit by a cyber attack around November 2023, October, November 2023. We commissioned an investigation working closely with the SIU, and the report has been tabled in council, which indicate what are areas that we need to focus on in terms of improving on our technology, including the network itself. Because one of the critical areas that we have actually discovered is that our network is currently old. And when you have a very old network or infrastructure, it is actually vulnerable to more attacks, whether internal attacks or external attacks, and that's what we have actually experienced. But our principals actually know that the attack largely was more of internal processes than the external attack, and it's a matter that is receiving adequate attention. One of the things that has also excited me out of these sessions and the presentations that were done before, we have companies in the province or in the country that are able to actually develop some solutions in terms of the hardware, which I think is one of the elements that we will consider moving forward without compromising in any element of procurement. And I think I had a conversation with the city manager to say, if we want to see economic development, but I must say, obviously, I'm sure I'm not misrepresenting the executive mayor. Yes, once we want those solutions, you must make sure that we establish some of the satellite companies here in Bloemfontein or the Free State, so that we create job creation or we encourage job creation as part of the economic development. It is actually worthless to import or order anything that is outside this province if we really want to match economic development and job creation. And I'm sure that will be considered by some of the companies that have presented a number of solutions that they have. Without much ado, let me allow the gentlemen or our panelists to reflect on the areas that they would like this summit to then take into consideration. We'll start first with Mr. Molehe, then thereafter King will also come, including Stefan, and then lastly, because we need to see if our city will be safe in terms of the plan that the SAPS have, we will have Colonel Moyeki to actually wrap up for us.
No, thank you very much, moderator. Good afternoon to yourselves. I think to the dignitaries as I rise on the already established protocols. Mine is quite simple, I think, colleagues, is to really introduce my company and really talk to the work that we do. I know a lot of you might not know who ZEDNA is. In full, we are the South African Domain Name Authority. So we are a statutory body that came into being through the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act of 2002. Our sole intent is to manage what we call the .za namespace, which is the digital representation of South Africa. So simply meaning everything that ends with a .za is under our regulatory auspices. Now, a fascinating question that might also come, why am I here? And I think, you touched on a number of aspects. Cybersecurity is one of the issues that we deal with. How do we create economic beneficiation from the domain name space? Because we do resell it to individuals across the globe, for that matter. So I will zoom into that one. And central to all of this is a discussion around internet. Because you talk about domain name space, you're actually talking about the internet itself. I know you might be tempted to say Wi-Fi, fiber, and all of those. But those are just transports. Really what we look after is what goes into that specific pipe. And really, when you talk about smart cities, you talk about intelligent technologies, I think the other colleagues will touch on them. You are talking about, at the center of it, internet. And what internet offers and access to internet offers is really the ability to engage your citizens. And I think you touched on it as we were making your intros when you spoke about citizen engagement. And to really move away from the big term of citizen engagement, for colleagues, you would remember during the height of COVID, there was an application, GovChat. where people actually applied, engaged, and got a lot of information. Really, that particular platform was a stepping stone to say government is introducing e-governance, e-platforms, and also e-services. This is what I think, when you talk about smart city and what Mangaung should focus on, it should be creating platforms for engaging and socializing and orchestrating certain services. Also, another benefit around the internet enabling these platforms to function is called co-creation. One of the key concepts around citizen engagement is co-creation. And what is co-creation is really when you go out and ask your citizens, what is it that you feel that we must do for you and what is it that we must improve? Another practical example, I know one municipality, because I'm in Mangaung, I won't mention them by name, but they're in Gauteng. They have an app where you can take pictures of potholes and send it to them and they repair them. Now, that is something that is called co-creation. You actually are empowering those that has to resolve issues with the means to know where the problems are and how to fix them. And really, as I wrap up and I hand over, this now leads me to the other portion that you also spoke about, which is data analytics. You did mention the issue of cybersecurity, but another focus should be around what do you do with the data that you receive? How much intelligence can you build in terms of the data that you actually have? Another pragmatic example is you have a lot of people in this venue. The question should come, after we fill those forms, are we going to be sent something? What is the intent we're being engaged on? And also, what is it that you like to get out of that particular engagement? Meaning you have data, you can utilize it. Another thing which one had to deal with when we were engaging the Department of Home Affairs is creating a single view of your indigents. Now, that's when you start talking about data and how the digital space comes into that. It really creates a seamless, unique, and singular point for the municipality to gain access to so that you are able to identify your indigents and provide services where they are needed. That's the importance of data governance. And also on the last point of cybersecurity, before I hand over to my esteemed panelists, one thing about cybersecurity, it's whatever solutions that you design, especially when you are initiating your journey of digitalization, cybersecurity or security must be at the center so that you offer assurance of those that are going to hand over their information that it will be safeguarded and used for the right reasons. And also in the same breath, you are able to attract BPOs. One of the things that I find quite interesting about my home province, we are central, in particular Mangaung, you are central to everything. There's a number of points of presence here, but there isn't a massive business process optimization company. I know the city in Cape Town, the city of Cape Town, has leveraged that avenue and they have invited a number of BPOs into their space, call centers, and thus creating employment within the city. It's another option as we build towards smart cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Quite exciting, and some of the things that we have actually reflected on as we were talking, I was looking at Dr. Matai there, the chairperson of council, saying co-creation, which also goes with public participation and also elements of service delivery. Because currently, I normally say to my PA, please don't print documents, cancel documents for me, because I fear rodents. They might actually cause rodents. So I normally see Dr. Matai carrying large volumes of copies. I'm not sure if he's not afraid of rodents. But you hear, the solution is here for you, Doctor. Then let's go to King Tsotetsi.
Is it, it's the afternoon now. Good afternoon, everybody. And to the esteemed mayor and the executive committee, all protocol observed. My name is King Tsotetsi. I come from a company called Kijima, and I would like to believe quite a number of people in the room knows Kijima. It's got the longest history in the ICT space, formed by our esteemed chairman, Mr. Robert Gumede, in 1998, and are still going strong even today. A couple of years back, Kijima was a force to be reckoned with, more so in the Free State province, and we are surely making those inroads again. Kijima provides the networking services, unified communication, cloud services, cybersecurity, and most importantly, we also have a training house inside Kijima for all the graduates, interns. Pre-COVID, Kijima used to take 200 interns every single year for ICT training. But of course, post-COVID, things have not been going that well from the training front. But I'm happy to announce that as of this calendar year, we are sitting with 180 students again. And yes, my co-panelist spoke about the city wanting to digitize, and everybody around the world today, they're talking about smart cities. But before we can even get to that, the city, or even the province for that matter, needs to identify the cornerstones of how you get to a true smart city. And I've made myself a couple of notes on what the city could perhaps look at. I come from the networking business and unified communications inside Kijima. So I tell a lot of people that I'm a plumber, and whatever goes inside those pipes, I think you know what goes inside the plumbing pipes. I leave it to my other colleagues inside the business. But the basis of it all for the city to achieve the digital strategy or the smart city strategy, connectivity, is very, very important, okay? And when I talk to connectivity, we're talking fiber, we're talking LTE, we're talking satellite, and for those that think we don't have satellite in South Africa, we have it. And we're not relying on our South African for satellite. We have got it already. Most importantly, in the outskirt areas where we don't have fiber and other connectivity, we make use of satellite. And yes, we have moved on from the days when your VSAT environment, we used to give you 600 milliseconds. Today, we're talking to 80 milliseconds. So connectivity is quite key, and that needs to be embraced. Then the second aspect is smart transportation. And I listened attentively to the lady that presented earlier on here. In fact, I gave a hug earlier on and say, very, very well presented. I believe she's a subject matter expert, and that needs to be embraced. Then, of course, public safety and security, which is AI-driven. But most importantly, we talk about all these things, but it still goes back to the bandwidth that will be available within the city to be able to achieve all these items. We can talk about facial recognition, where in control rooms you are able to know if there is perhaps a member of the public that does not belong to the city, and use all the analytics to be able to say exactly who this person is. If they are registered on any database, you are able to pick that up. Then the other one, very, very key, and I've heard that you don't really use HCOM here, you use a SENDLEC. sustainable energy and environment is also quite key. You cannot achieve all these things if you don't have sustainable energy. Electricity, it's very, very key to get all these systems working. Most importantly, again, I know that a lot of metros around the country have been able to achieve this. E-government, meaning e-digital platforms for government, and that's how the municipalities engage with its inhabitants. This thing of sending statements on paper, that needs to be revisited, because a lot of people in South Africa, fortunately, they've got smartphones, and we need to utilize that. Healthcare is also one of them. Economic growth and innovation. As I hand over to my other panelists, I don't want to steal too much of your time, Stefan. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe before you start, Stefan, Mr. Tsotetsi, you've reflected quite a number of important aspects. Connectivity is one of the areas you specialize in. The smart transportation, which I think it goes with issues such as drone and quite a number of things. And when I one day visited Rwanda, please don't take me that I'm M23, because I'm told Rwanda, M23, they're like Siamese twins, so I'm not. I'm just reflecting because I once visited that country. And one of the things that I realized, which they are actually doing, for medication transportations, they rely more on drones to actually transport medication in rural areas or in areas where a normal transportation system cannot reach out to those areas. And as the metro, we're one of the rural metros or rural municipalities. So SARS solutions may actually assist, especially as it relates to the issuing of statements, because paper by itself is quite expensive. And if you rely on the current technology to make sure that the citizen can get information about the city, get their statement, get some of the solutions which will advance service delivery, I think it's one of those options we intended or we're intending to actually acquire. Stefan, while of course I understand that technology, to most of people, they always complain that technology cuts employment, but it also increases the turnaround time. How do you balance the two while you may be reflecting, without necessarily channeling you to talk or speak to these things that I've really reflected? But I think somewhere, somehow, you need to reflect on how we circumvent that particular problem. Because as you introduce any form of smart technology, it compromises also job creation on the other hand. Yes, Stefan, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. So I think the biggest challenge with that is immediately the connotation that comes with smart. Immediately we start thinking eliminating jobs, reducing headcount, and introducing more tech into the system itself. And I think to some extent, yes, but there's a greater thing at risk here. And as soon as we introduce only technology, we basically jeopardize creativity. It is the one thing that separates us from technology is our creativity, one, and two, experience. From a computer's perspective, doesn't matter how many large language models you integrate into a system to learn, it is still dependent on the human intervention of plugging data into those kind of elements. And this is where experience and creativity comes in. It's the same as an engineer that's been studying for years and they've only learned from a book, but they haven't actually created the experience of doing something physically. And without that experience, theoretical doesn't always actually work. And that's where the element of the human intervention will always be required. So I don't really think it's necessarily going to be a loss of jobs, but more maybe a shift. So we're going to have an introduction of a whole new generation of jobs that's going to exist for the next 10 or 15 years that hasn't existed before. So I think what's going to happen is a shift from more the rudimentary jobs shifting to more focusing on specific AI development, engineers, compliance around AI and how we share information. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts that's going to happen.
Quite exciting. Thanks, Stefan. Do you like to elaborate more?
Yeah, so from a smart city perspective, the biggest thing is introducing obviously more data, so it's more things that you can introduce into the organization, and as a city or community, you can introduce more data points of collection, which at the end of the day assists the city with making better decisions. However, there's two big factors that come into play when it comes to making a city smart, and both of them is linked to security. So the first one is the protection of critical infrastructure. So that would be your actual, let's call it data points, controlling the flow of city on a day-to-day basis. So as an ethical hacker, if something like that gets breached, it becomes a major problem. So from my point of view, I always analyze risk. And from that point of view, you need to look at these critical infrastructure points, because if something like, for instance, water supply gets affected, electricity gets disrupted, you maybe have gridlock of traffic because of these elements controlling traffic flow. You maybe have potentially compromising of emergency services. And each one of these elements can have a greater risk to the city itself. And that is just one portion of it, the critical infrastructure. The next portion is, from a data perspective, we're collecting mass amounts of data from the community itself. So data privacy becomes exceptionally critical for two reasons. One, obviously from a compliancy perspective, taking POPIA into account. And then secondly, obviously building the trust from the community itself. What are we doing with the data? How are we protecting the data? And how are we making sure at the end of the day that whatever we're collecting, we're securing and we're using it for the correct purpose that it was intended for?
Okay. Thank you, Stefan. You know, a number of solutions that we reflected on. Quite exciting. Because as a city, we're experiencing some kind of fraudulent activities. Let me tell you a story, which most of you will not even believe. When we're analyzing some of the overtimes that we're paying, because corporate services is also in charge on matters related to HR, we realized that we're paying somebody who's currently sitting in God's hand, who has passed on, but we're still paying that particular person. It's because of the manual way of doing things. Because anything that is done manually has got human error and intentional error. So some of the solution you actually provided will actually assist us. And worse, in one of the incidents, we discovered that we're paying a person who is in overtime, who's in prison, because we're dealing with these things manually. And I think with the inputs we have actually made, it calls on us as the city to try and bring some of those solutions. Because anything that is electronical cannot, unless you get somebody to tamper with it. And nice thing about anything that is electronical, if you tamper with it, it reports to the user. And say, here's a silly person trying to fiddle with me. Please check out. And I give that person to Colonel Mnyeki. Tell us how you're going to deal with that person. Colonel Mnyeki.
Thank you very much. And good afternoon. I'm Colonel Mnyeki from Park Road SAPS, Visible Policing Commander. And I would love to extend the greetings to all the participants and all the principals in the room. We've been invited in an investment summit in Dadeduma. The people sitting around here, some have already pledged billions, but there's something at the back of their heads. Is my investment safe? Am I putting my money where there will be rewards?
Exactly.
That's where we come in terms of safety and in terms of security, in protecting the investment that is being plowed into our own city. The safer city versus the smart city. It's like policing in the world of now. I'm sitting with the wonderful people who are telling us the off now. Yes, we are still behind in terms of dockets opening. We're still on the paper system. That's where the expertise sitting with us today fit in. Our city is a great city, as it's been explained before. Therefore, this safer city, what are we referring to? We're referring to safer communities, safer homes, safer streets, business where it can thrive without fear of being tampered with or tempered by the criminals. The biggest contributor, unfortunately, of us being of existence is a socio-economic factor, which is unemployment. Unemployment brew and destroy great people and forces them or forces their hand to actually perform evil acts. Therefore, we've got people who've got the funds and who've got the vision of taking this city somewhere. What, therefore, in the city do we have? We talked about dilapidated buildings. We talked about buildings standing empty, which therefore become the center of attraction of the evil that's moving around our city. If now they've pledged this money to invest in that building, what therefore do we put in place? That's where the intellectuals sitting with us therefore fit in. We cannot be policing them in the old methods. We still need to come to the new generation of the world is going forward. In terms of connectivity, in terms of policing, being everywhere at every moment is not possible for law enforcement. But we've got the city that has already invested in cameras on all the hotspots of the city. We've got a collaboration with the city that we are sitting in the disaster management office, which is all safety departments there. We are moving there. We are not yet there. We are one of the metropolitan that was also identified by National to be put in that phase, of which is already fully implemented in the Western Cape, where you sit in one building. You've got SAPS, you've got Home Affairs, you've got the Metro, you've got COCTA, you've got LED, you've got everybody in one roof. So if any criminality is prevailing anywhere, all relevant role players are sitting under one roof. He's actually referred to facial recognitions. Remember, these cameras are already there. The city has put it up already. Therefore, this is the people you've invited to therefore tap into and invest in that angle, that the cameras are here. We want to talk to facial recognition. We want to talk to these things. The control rooms are already set up in the city. It's just a matter of moving them to where we want them to be. The infrastructure is there, but let's just upgrade it to talk to the world of now. The fact that it's not fully implemented in the Mangaung Metro doesn't necessarily mean we are waiting for all of these systems to be in place to move. We are already operating with what we have. Because if you go to our disaster management office, you are going to find the minimum, which is law enforcement, traffic, and SAPS in one roof. Which means if there's elements that need to be dealt with in that structure, we can deal with it with immediate effect. We are a city that is full of students, unfortunately. Our clients are students. Our community as this city is students. The University of Orange Free State, the Central University of Richard and Muteo are housing a lot of students in our vicinity as a city. These students are not going around holding papers. They are going around having gadgets in their ears. So as policing, we need to come to their level to talk to them in the methods that they've got in their hands. Because now for me to be distributing pamphlets, which is why the province felt it necessary that I must come with Brigadier Ndaba, who is the section head of information technology in the province, so that he can come and see this is the direction the city is moving. This is the direction the city is. We host the most and the biggest events in this province as this city. We've got the Free State Stadium that is hosting international games, that is hosting the top level of all events in the city. We spoke about Makufe. It brings a lot of people in the city. then what do we do then? I cannot be on every corner, but if we've got drones, if we are in the level of technology that policing is happening while I'm sitting in this job, but all the corners are protected by drones, they are giving us the information. This is the world we are moving on. This is the investment that we need as a city, because if a city has got the intelligence like this who's going to bring these things to us, then the policing and the protecting of the investment that you are luring to the city, you know it is covered. This, as much as I've indicated, this is a student-based city, but we've got people from Butabelo who are ferried in Tabanchu, the location. They are all coming here for actually works and jobs. That's where they fall victims of crime. Which is therefore, if we protect and if we invest into the intelligence that we can have, into the technology, we can be able to actually cover more ground. It's not as if you're going to reduce the level of law enforcement, traffic and police. No, you're just capacitating them so that wherever they are, they get information. Remember now, we already have this control room that we are already sitting there. So all the communication is coming to one center of control and is disseminated equally. So traffic, law enforcement, home affairs, everybody is getting the same share. Then each and every department now can be able to act in terms of their own prescripts or in terms of their own expertise. So yes, as a city, the investment that is brought in is actually not thrown into waste. We are actually more than committed and willing and ready and capable, but the enhancement of the policing and the moving to the field where we can actually tap to all corners and we can tap to all, it will actually assist in that regard.
Wow. Colonel. Actually, I'm not a sexist. But I want to say, Colonel, that you have assured us that we are in a safe city.
Sorry?
You have assured us that we are in a safe city. Yes. With all the programs that we have reflected on, that are currently running, and the ones that are to take place. Yes. And I must say, one of the things that is commendable about the work that we are doing, it's your case management system. It's actually electronic related. When you go and complain, within 24 hours, you get a message of a case number and who's the responsible police officer, who's the investigator handling the matter, and what will be the turnaround time to get feedback on the case that we have actually reported to the SAPS. And that is quite commendable. I must say also, when you go to your head office here in Charlotte Macteka, I'm not sure what floor is that. And I saw this during the time of COVID, of course, when we had to get mandates from the National Command Council. You know, you'll go there and you'll talk to presidency and ministers as if you are in the same room with them. Yes. And that's one of the highlights in terms of using technology that I've come to realize. When you go to Heidedal, your 10.1 studio, it has got all the amenities that makes you to be easy to interact with, you know, other satellite police stations and get information of what is actually happening. And I know Commissioner Khamanyane is doing quite a good job in terms of coordination and integration these systems together with the University of the Free State, Central University of Technology, yourselves, the department led by Honorable Saki Mukwenade of COCTA under the disaster management. And that's why we are not reactive, but at least we are responsive to some of the disasters that are likely to affect the area. But I'm sure with the limited resources that you have, you will be extending some of these facilities because you still have got these rural areas like your students' race that normally suffer livestock theft. And it's one of those things I think you'll be working closely with our commissioner. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have come to almost the end of the discussion by the panel. I know my councillor there, my MMC, will then afford you the opportunity because not within my right to allow you to ask questions to members, but let me hand it over to Councillor Ntombi Nhlapo to then create a platform for you to interrogate panelists.
Thank you very much, HOD.
I hope this is not sabotage.
Thank you very much, HOD. Number 1.
You've been talking, I'm sure it has run out of the battery. While we're waiting for Councillor Antonin Sapo to give platform to the plenary to ask questions, you know, it's quite exciting about technology. Our kids know technology more than us. Whenever I have a problem, I call my child and say, what do I do in these circumstances? Then they say, it's very simple. Papa, have you really gone to school? I said, yes. And why are you asking that question if I have gone to school? I can't be speaking with you. I can't be taking you to school and pay for your fees, and then you ask me if I've ever been to school. It's because you are always calling me to come and assist you with this and that. It's like you've never been to school. I said, during our time, these things were not there. You must understand that part. Okay. So, Councillor Toby, you may go ahead.
Thank you so much, HOD. What a very safe seat we are in. The presentations of the floor were very powerful. Mine is to ensure that there are engagements in this very safe city. I think I'll just open up for 6 questions. I'll open up for 6 questions. I'll get an indication. I get already we are safe. The question of safety won't be there. So I'll note the first 2 on this block. The gentleman, and then the other hands, there will be 2, and then there will be yourself, sir, with the yellow shirt. Thank you so much. This is always the pledging block, and now the very safe block. Then we'll move to number 4 at the back, Tatematoba. Let me give just this block. Number 5. Number 6 will end with the CFO. Okay, thank you so much. In that order, the first 2 hands in the first. Thank you.
Allow me to speak my language. Now my question is more Kenyan. I'm an organizer for more voluntary community safety sector for Lori Park. Botata boke boba na motoro po Kenyan that no patrol, specifically more of Man Square. Last week, unkilwe bombe wabararo po ke ba shimane by 3. Please, patrolam toropo ya rona. Patrolam toropo ya rona because botata ba shimane ba banga batho ba bombe po. Na intelligence yaka, like the trainee go Park Road.
Okay.
The December month in the municipality hall, they do submission already. Yes, Gauta wanted to the Bangladesh. What about the Nigerians who drag our cheat day and night? Okay. Now I'm under the eye, the intelligence unit, the Nigeria unit, and bravely I can meet. I'll go one day to the Park Road to a fair report talk about what, because every time what is solutions I want to get, you are just with me. So it's number 1
as you conclude, sir. Yes.
Now that is why from when I'm my commander, please employ the patrol. Read the ban, Baba patrol, and I did bicycle, and I did pair, and I did foot patrol. To a one, you are never tatare. On the Bobato me, under pressure, Paul. Last week, you two swim.
No, sir. I think your issue is captured. It's mostly on patrolling.
The issue is the patrolling.
Yes, I think the commissioner will answer it on other areas also. So you're making examples now, but the main issue is patrolling.
No.
Can we let them answer?
The issue only the patrolling. I don't care about the area areas. My concern is the patrolling.
Yes.
The park road is training me in terms of intelligence of the patrolling.
They will answer it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Especially Motorupo.
Thank you. The second speaker. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your contribution. The hand at the back.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Tembi Nziane. And firstly, I just want to make a comment and then ask a question. I want to commend the mayor and the city manager for their first investment summit. I think it's towards the right direction for Mangaung. And looking at the conversations that were had yesterday, also starting with the one of today regarding the transport and infrastructure, I do genuinely believe that the city needs to look at it. Because if we're going to say we're at the heart of South Africa, then we must be able to host, especially via transport, every business. I mean, looking at the example that Mayjoy made in the presentation, to say that we only have 4 truck stops. You can look at KZN when somebody wants to transport their goods, because they arrive and they land in KZN. We should have arrangements to ensure that they have to pass through Mangaung. So if the infrastructure is laid out, I think we can industrialize Mangaung. I think that's what needs to happen. Because the idea of industrialization then it attracts investment. Look at the mining towns. Mining towns attract investments because there's a lot of economic activity happening around there. So I think the city is taking a step in the right direction, but we were presented with a buffet of options. And maybe we should focus the investment agenda and the strategy. One other thing that was a bit lacking yesterday was the financial presentation. If a person is coming to invest in Mangaung, obviously investment means they are bringing their product or their service. How does it affect business? How does it affect the community? Is it even the right investor? Do they have the community at heart? Do they align with our values? Does the policy framework speak to that? So what I want to ask, my question is, what are the top 3 investment policy, investment projects that the city wants to really look at? Because investing 3 billion in a new opportunity for urbanization while we have poor people is, quite frankly, doesn't make sense. Thank you. I just want to find out what are the top 3 investment projects that this money is going to go to, and how many jobs will that create?
Okay, thank you very much. The gentleman with the yellow top, number 3, thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope I'll be allowed just a few minutes. I just wanted to make sure that Free State or South Africa or the world, whoever wants to invest in Mangaung, just has some background of what Mangaung already has in terms of capital as a person. In 2007, CSIR awarded 150,000 rand to one of the young people in the Free State, here in Mangaung, in fact, for an idea in IT. In 2010, the first skills-based IT hub in South Africa with CUT and Free State government was launched and run here in Mangaung. In 2019, the launch of the first Microsoft AI University in South Africa was launched here in Mangaung. With Gijima was actually involved, the provincial government, as well as the Central University of Technology. In 2024, the first black person to publish a Microsoft transactionable application in South Africa, available for purchase in 141 countries around the world, which is based on AI, is based here in Mangaung. There's also an AI-infused bulk SMS system that is about to go global as well, launched again by an individual here in Mangaung. Another individual, a company, black company. Microsoft last month launched a program where they're going to empower 1 million people in 2025, their investment to South Africa in AI. We've been listening here, and we've heard what the colonel was saying and everyone else in terms of what we should be able to do. We have the capacity here in Mangaung to get the old infrastructure to be modernized. We can have our cameras, but if we don't have anomaly detection on our cameras, then my father here on the left is not going to be assisted, because if you have an anomaly detection AI cameras installed and infused in our existing infrastructure, it will solve that problem. We don't have to think about buying another 100 police vans. If we have in the police stations a voice-to-text technology where statements can be taken, you speak your language, it types it for you, you put your fingerprint and you leave, then no one has to queue up. If you have state-sponsored internet in interstate buses for the students as they travel between Tabanshu and here, and also at hotspots, for example, at Hoffman Square.
As you conclude, sir.
As I conclude,
yes.
We have infrastructure owners in Wi-Fi that is based here in Mangaung. They actually have a tent or gazebo outside. But the problem that we have in Mangaung, I think, but we need to motivate or support Mangaung in that, is that they need to have the courage to talk to their black counterparts and not try and look for solutions outside. There should be more Free State Mangaung-based people sitting on that panel, okay. Not from outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we're done with this block. There was one lady from this. Yes, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is actually mostly directed to our policing services. I'm very worried, and I'm a victim of cybercrime in my business. And I feel that there's not much education when it comes to cybercrime with the police. For me to get the assistance, I had to have an attorney that was able to say, here's the act, this is what they're supposed to do, take it to them, you're not the first client, they will not help you. So I want to ask that if they can look into that and actually give time frames to say they will train and who are they training, because our police, it's like they are confused, some of them. They don't know the difference between fraud and cybercrime. And it's quite disturbing to have to be the victim and having to teach the police and force them to do their work. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm also missing people that are actually willing to collaborate. There are collaborations that have been mentioned. I'm just hoping the other hands, I'm challenging the other hands to say with what is already existing from ourselves, what is it that we can beef up some of the initiatives that are already there. So that was number 4. There was a hand right at the back. That was 4, 5. And then I think the CFO is contributing to join the collaboration for a safer city, definitely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. I'm not going to repeat because I think the last speaker just touched on the technology and everything. But I just want to touch on the aspect of a fintech. On the build-up to this seminar, the executive mayor was pointing that when coming to the collection, this is where the city is struggling. But now with all these technology of things, the fintech that are here, and then using the satellite, I was privileged last year to go to Kenya and see how those people make their economy work, just on the aspect of fintech and disrupting the traditional banking system. Because our problem in South Africa, we rely more on the traditional banking system when coming to collections and so forth. Meanwhile, we have the fintech industry that can solve that issue of collection and make our city very vibrant. So when it comes to the collaboration, I think I'll also touch on that. I will interact with some of the guys. I spoke to the guys in Malaysia also, because us and Malaysia, when coming to technology, at least we are in the more or less the same level. But to tackle this issue of collection and make sure that our citizens, when they pay their rates and so forth, they are charged at a precise amount, because there's not going to be an issue for me to pay for my water if I know that the municipality is charging me for the usage of the water that I've been charged for. So we'll come with tangible solutions that will address the issues of the collections and also make this technology thing alive in our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. CFO will receive that. I think number 6, and then CFO, you'll conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Program Director, and thank you, Moderator, for allowing us to come and engage in this fashion. I go by the name Nelly Kaba from the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. I'd like to first, before I head to my question, extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Executive Mayor of Mangaung for hosting us in this incredible event. Ntate, your efforts have brought us together, fostering an environment conducive of growth, innovation, and collaboration. Secondly, I would like to appreciate the municipality for extending an invitation to the investors. This gesture will undoubtedly make this day a memorable day to all of us sitting here today. As we move forward, I'd like to make also a plea to the esteemed investors who are going to be part and parcel of, or in partnership on investment with Mangaung, not to leave the city of roses. Nelson Mandela once said, the greatest glory lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So let us rise together, hand in hand, to build a brighter future.
Okay.
To SAPS, I'd like to express my appreciation for your presence and commitment in ensuring that we establish a safer city for all. One question that I had and that came to my mind while sitting here, it was regarding the recruitment processes. How do we ensure, I'm not directing the question to anyone specific, but to the whole panel. How do we ensure that during the recruitment process, Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality attracts the relevant skill? I strongly believe that verifying and vetting candidates before the interview process is crucial. So what measures do you have in place to guarantee that while investing in Mangaung, that when we are hiring the best talent while also prioritizing transparency and accountability in the perspectives of artificial intelligence? I would like to pause in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. CFO, Malaysia is ready for you.
Malaysia? I think I want to go somewhere, not Malaysia. And I'm taking you with, hoping when you come back there, I'll be looking exactly like you. And you'll teach me how to be like you. But I'm rising here, and the theme... thank you so much for correcting me. I was just going to make some few inputs on the presentations made, not leading the presenters to the available opportunities that your presentations are actually talking to. First and foremost, we are in an investment summit, and I think as a city, yesterday we have highlighted the areas of priority and available opportunities. But I want to make this problem statement so that you can pick from the problem statement areas of investment that you can probably propose to the city. The city is currently having indigent register of about 35,000 households. And our process of gathering information and verification is manual. And by manual, I mean we go to the house, we pick up the data, complete the forms, bring the forms in boxes, somebody must open the box, go through the documentation submitted, and even in those efforts, there is a gap in terms of how do we verify if a person is still alive after we've collected the data. And I heard one of the speakers talking to the integration with the Home Affairs system, especially around indigents. There is an opportunity in that area. Someone who was asking a question spoken about the traditional way of doing policing or reporting of cases. But I can say that for Mangaung, we're still in the primitive era where the billing is manual, the distribution of accounts are manual, and therefore I'm saying to you, as you are about we are about to close this investment summit, on the IT space in the city, in finance management, especially around billing, there are a lot of opportunities that we can engage with you further from now moving forward. But I think yesterday we had some conversation with some of the people in the panel up there. We will be picking up from then, but I'm just highlighting the expression of interest is not limited to what we spoke to yesterday, but any other area that you are in, you are allowed to propose to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, CFO. Thank you. I think HOD, you can take it over from there, but I think what's important is...
I think largely, most of the comments were made than questions, if we had. But I'd like to reflect on what Ntate indicated, the first speaker. And as a responsible citizenry, I want to put it that way. You know, the mistake that we normally do, we know that the police are overwhelmed. And as the public community, we know where this criminal resides. You know what pains me is, more often than not, you find a person taking a video of a perpetrator committing a crime. To an extent, they sometimes assist. But more often than not, those videos are taken for joking purposes, where people, they will paste them on TikToks. But I'm saying if you are responsible and you see a crime, why don't you act so that by the time the police come, they are able to apprehend the perpetrators? Yesterday I saw something where a person ran away from court, jumping from the highest level until down. Fortunately, that person was also apprehended. But when it tells you how he actually escaped Cascade, you realize that we are not doing a responsibility. How many people were out, especially close by, who he actually passed before he ultimately went outside. And more often than not, we know who are the drug lords, where are the drug dens and criminal dens. But we don't cooperate with the police to give them that particular information. And we expect police to overstretch themselves to find out some of the things. And the criminals stay amongst us. So I hear you, Ntatwaka. Maybe Colonel Miyeki will also reflect on what is it that they are doing. Because this place, Hoffman's Way, everyone who resides in Bloemfontein knows that if a crime happens there, there are also a number of community members there. Why can't they just assist and apprehend those 3 boys? It can't be the responsibility of the police alone. We've got to do something as the public and assist the police. And that's how we'll ensure safe cities. I don't know if you'd like to reflect, Colonel Muyeki, but on others, I think Councillor Ntombi, on the investment issues, you have got an investment package that the city has actually developed for various developers and those who may want to invest. And I would request either yourself or HOD Chakani to reflect on that one, to just reflect on some of the packages the city has prepared for, investment and development. And if any of the gentlemen or panelists want to reflect based on the comments that were made, you are allowed to do so. Let's start first with Colonel Muyeki.
Thank you very much. Evil prevailed because great people kept quiet.
Yes. Yes.
We all grew up with being brought up in that way. Hoffman Square is in the center of the city, where if you are from a taxi rank, you are going to move through to reach Waterfront. You are going to pass through to reach CUT. You are going to pass through, or you are going to get a bus there.
Yes.
Remember how it's a stop off at Hoffman Square. Interstate, Hoffman Square. Hoffman Square is also one of the biggest hotspots for the city itself, which is why it's getting permanent deployment, because of the opportunity of crime that exists there, because of the number of people that revolve around Hoffman Square. If you're working in the city, you will pass through Hoffman Square. If you want to go outside city to university, you will get a bus at Hoffman Square. So Hoffman Square, it is a hotspot, and that is on the priority list of the station, which is why you will find law enforcement, traffic, and police doing operations in that area. But it still goes back to joint ventures with the community. The partnership with the business sector. The business forum in that area is thriving because they've seen the rewards of the partnership. Same applies with the community that moves there. Unfortunately, the community of that area is only people that are passing through. There's not a residential area. So the business community, we've got a business forum that is reigning in that area. It's a permanent deployment, but additional efforts, therefore, will be also put to make sure we elevate that pressure, because that will permanently be a problem in terms of it being the center and it being the modes of transport where people can get buses, either to Noordhoek or to wherever, you'll get it at Hoffman Square. In terms of attracting skills, that was actually a very wonderful and a thoughtful question. From the SAPS side, in terms of attracting skills, there is each and every second year a recruit specifically for graduates. The last group is actually passing out now, October. They are at different stations. Even though they passed out at college, they are still given that opportunity for a year to come and do client service center work. So that even if he's taken to legal services, he's got that year that he actually worked with the person, he worked with the community, he understands the complaints, and he understands the dynamics. There are only graduates that will be taken to different departments in the South African Police Service. Same applies with the province. Has identified 10 young men who are only going to be trained to be drone pilots because of the shift in terms of policing, and us now national acquiring drones for us. We need people who are equipped then to deal with this sort of technology. So there is 10 young men, only constables and sergeants, who are being trained, who we hope to retain, because unfortunately private sector will always be dominant into public sector. These 10 young men are going to be trained, but we are hoping and praying to sustain them, not private sector stealing them just because now they are qualified drone pilots. That was in terms of training. On top of the cyber. Cyber is is the worst performing category right now, because the community is doing everything into their gadgets. You're banking, you're paying, requesting Uber, everything you're doing in your phone. Therefore, the criminal element is also there. They've realized that that's where the shift now has gone to. Therefore, they are attacking a lot of people in terms of scamming them, in terms of stealing their money while they are busy doing things online. So cyber training is actually taking place, and each and province, actually only at provincial level now, we've got the cyber unit, which is the plan of the SAPS to distribute and disseminate it down to stations as well, because that's where we deal and that's where we meet all of these victims. Cyber training is taking place actually now on the frontliners, just to lay bare the act on them, just to let them understand what is going on in terms of the crime that is happening. But even if it was registered wrongly, it's not a transfer, because when it comes to court, the Director of Public Prosecution therefore changed it to the relevant crime. So cybercrime is taking place, the training in that regard, and in this city now is actually only happening at Mutuso on a weekly basis. I believe I'll stop there for that.
You have sufficiently covered
Thank you.
most of the criminally related questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's start first with you and then go to King. I don't know if Stephanie, you would like to have a bite, but you'll come after King, of course.
Can I go?
Yes, go ahead.
No, thank you. Let me start off by saying, thank you for the questions. It's quite an interesting bucket of questions. But in the main, I'll start here. My good friend there, Mr. Bergman, I'm proud to say I'm a product of Free State. I'm a product of this town. And I'll tell you why. I spent most of my time in Welkom. I schooled here, and I was exported to Gauteng, where one has the privilege of leading one of the biggest digital representation across the globe. Now, why that context? It really stems from what you're saying, and I think the gentleman at the back about fintech. I'm not sure if the audience and the dignitaries are aware that there used to be a company, Altipay, who had big dreams.
Yes.
And they were a payment platform. And why am I citing them? They were a payment platform ahead of its time. At the time that they were launched, Ozo did not exist. But at the moment, Ozo is the biggest platform, but it's a homegrown product. There's another product called Interfile, speaking to fintech, but of course it's a Pretoria-based product, which assists the city of Tshwane, the city of Johannesburg, to collect, revenue. Why am I punting on these also? It's simply because, your citizens, moderator, your future citizens are young people.
Yes.
And this generation that's coming, they really don't want to queue. They rather have everything in their hands. And what's in their hands? It's cell phones. And coincidentally, South Africa is a mobile-first country, meaning that everything that we do on the device. So my advice is for the municipality to really look at a broadband strategy at the center. And that broadband strategy, you can invite a lot of partners. I know there's a program called SA Connect that's connecting public sites. There's big interest, I know, from my colleagues from Kijima, you name them, that want to be part of that particular journey. In the same process, empower local SMMEs to deliver to the endpoints. Once you have done that, I think that is the basics. Get everyone on board and speaking to the issue of universal access. Then technologies like the ones that have been cited here, AI, devices that are accessible and cheap, will actually go a long way and address some of the issues that have been punted there. For example, Dade mentioned a mugging. I was also mugged at one point in Bloom. But why am I laughing about it? It's simply because, at the time the technology was not there. To take a video, actually post it somewhere and empower SAPS with the necessary information to, deal with cases expeditiously, so rather than post them on social media. Then it brings me to the issue of awareness. I think also in tandem to the broadband, it's also a responsibility of the municipality to start awareness campaigns.
Yes.
And these awareness campaigns simple. I think Mayor earlier on spoke about pedestrian awareness. You can run similar ones which are contextualized to Mangaung to say, we have an issue in Hoffman Square. This is the person that you need to contact in this situation. And you are able to disseminate that information through smart SMSs. There's many platforms that are locally produced, meaning South African, about smart SMSs, which leads me to what the CFO was asking about data collection. What smart SMSs enable you to do, you can actually reach the person through any other phone. Let's not be disillusioned, colleagues. Not everyone has a smartphone. We still have those what we call jararas that still use USSDs. So you need to also ensure that those that use those type of phones, you are able to collect the information, and that's where smart SMSs come in. You are able to even verify. I know Home Affairs has availed a number of data points which are accessible on the internet to ensure that you verify the person that you're talking to is actually alive, is actually the person that you need to speak to. So all of these things can be put together in a citywide, digitalization strategy, which actually addresses the issues of Mangaung and with measurable outcomes. But at the center, it has to be a broadband strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. King?
And I think I'm going to be short. We need to embrace technology. We don't embrace technology as a people. We're going to stay, like my brother said earlier on, a developing country. But I'm also glad to have heard from the panelists from the police talking about specific areas where they know that these are hotspots. Imagine if the police had CCTV cameras with facial recognition. How much of crime could be killed in that area there? Because I can tell you now, the criminals, if they know that somebody is watching, they move away from that area.
Exactly.
Automatically. Okay? And I'm going back to the question of saying technology takes jobs from people. My colleague over there spoke about young people that will get jobs now to fly drones. So it's not a question of saying, now you need to have this fit policeman that will be chasing a criminal. All you can do is you just follow the criminal wherever they're going using a drone, because you've captured all the images using the cameras, and you are able to chase or follow this criminal exactly where they're going. So what I would really say is the city certainly needs to invest in a Wi-Fi for the city, because the Wi-Fi for the city will give access to people that don't have perhaps access to data and all of that. Most of the cities, Soweto, for instance, if you look at Soweto, in Soweto, some of the areas today, they've actually got free Wi-Fi, And yes, it does cost money, but if the city follows this digital strategy, one of the things, and I know I'm repeating myself, it's connectivity. Each city inhabitant needs to be connected. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, King. Stefan?
Yeah, so just a couple of key points. One, so from a change perspective, I hear a lot of requests around when do we see the change, what is the change, these kind of things. And one thing from a change perspective is change takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And it's great for me to already hear from a provincial level that the police have already implemented quite a bit of strategic elements in place to make these changes kind of happen. And I've at least had the privilege of working with SAPs from a national level to see what kind of changes they're already implementing and how that is trickling down to a lot of the different provinces and things like that, to see how it can be impacted and have a better effect at those kind of levels. And it's always a difficult thing getting the human element involved from a, let's call it a civilian perspective, because yes, it's great that we kind of put all the pressure on the police, and yes, it's their job. But from their perspective, yes, there's only limited resources that they've got access to. So they kind of need intervention from a human's perspective as well, let's say again, the civilians. I'm not saying we should all turn into vigilantes and start fighting crime here, but as a civilian, we also have our own duty to protect our own cities from crime and things like that. And with that, we can help the police. The biggest challenge just with getting intervention from the end users itself or the people from a day-to-day is when you start getting them to send information to the police. You almost need to create that fine line of helping the police force and not creating false positives in terms of false information to create more work for them at the end of the day. And that's where we need to implement specific elements to kind of help them do their jobs a lot better. The element of the drone, the surveillance, all of that's going to help at the end of the day create greater visibility for them to do their jobs better in a smarter city.
Thank you, Stefan. I think we've come to the end of our assignment. I must just say, indeed, you've been quite excellent in performing your assignment. And I now would like to hand over to Honorable Councillor. I'm told I don't have to say Honorable Councillor, but it's in me. I will say Honorable Councillor MMC Ntombi. I now hand over the reins back to you.
No,
as we get ourselves excused from the podium.
No,
Thank you.
I'll excuse you guys. Thank you so much, HOD Duma. I think let's give our panel a warm round of applause. Before your panel leaves, I think it's also some of the things that they raised, that was raised within the plenary as they leave, about the governmental systems that we've been speaking about throughout the day. And I think there was also a question, thank you so much, Aisha. There was also a question that came on the application processes. I think investors were quite interested in it. And the HOD indicated that the municipality's ICT system will also be starting so that in terms of investor applications, am I behind? In terms of the investor applications, it's something that will go online so that the turnaround time from the 257 days that we mentioned, that was decreased to 39 days. Now with the ICT that they're going to implement, then the target is actually getting to a turnaround time of 48 hours that we've spoken about. So I think they mentioned when it is launched, I think it's almost towards March that it will go online. But she will indicate on that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my deployment on this platform. A very warm thank you so much for allowing me to be your program director. I think the next program director would be Mayor HOD Nokuthula Chakane, if she can ascend the stage, as I thank you all for allowing me to be your program director. Thank you so much. Where is she? Mayor Nokuthula, you also just indicate when is the online application going live, because I couldn't give the exact time for investors' application. Thank you.
Crack a joke. The sun is the source of most of the neutrinos that are passing through us at any moment. About 100 billion solar neutrinos travel and pass through a square centimeter on the Earth every second, and it is an amazing thing, since neutrinos and other powerful non-visible radiation are the key to fight against climate change, and are a trustworthy solution to the current energy crisis. Humanity's use of fossil fuels is severely damaging our environment. Fossil fuels cause local pollution where they are produced and used, and their ongoing use is causing lasting harm to the climate of our entire planet and are responsible for the most of the geopolitical conflicts of our time. As a result, we must shift our focus elsewhere. But unfortunately, none of the existing renewable power generation technologies, at the moment, meet alone the criteria, as the accumulation of solar cells and wind generators on large areas is heavily dependent on weather conditions. But thankfully, change is coming, in the form of the neutrino power cube. Entire households, as well as electric vehicles, are soon to be powered 24/7 by this truly cutting-edge technology. The neutrino power cube, harvesting the energy of vicinity with a net output of 5 to 6 kilowatts, is installed in the form of a cabinet. The electro-generating plate is a metal foil with a multi-layer nanomaterial made of alternating layers of graphene and doped silicone. Vibrations of graphene atoms under the influence of Brownian motion are amplified due to the external influence of particles of the surrounding radiation fields, causing a resonance of atomic vibrations of graphene atoms. The use of pure graphene without impurities and alloying elements cause an effect that physicists call oblique scattering, when graphene electron clouds deviate their movement in one direction. That is, a direct electric current appears. The neutrino power cube is something new, truly an amazing invention, and it exists as a result of cutting-edge scientific research and engineering in synergy with state-of-the-art artificial intelligence and enforcement of a few daring scientists and entrepreneurs. Thanks to the masterminds behind it, humanity now has a long-awaited and trustworthy solution to the current energy crisis. Due to their hard work, more substantial changes will take place, and hopefully others will follow in their footsteps, and we will live in a better and more environmentally friendly world in the years to come.
Thank you very much. I think I'll stand on the protocol that has been observed. Good afternoon once again. My name is Nogutula Chakani, and I'm going to be your program director for this session. It is the last part of our program. The video that just played now is from one of the pledges that we've received, CM. But I think as you announce the pledges, it will be part of those that we have received. At this part of our program, I'm going to invite Mr. Ben Museme, who's going to take us through a presentation. He's still getting ready. They're connecting him. I think MMC, when she descended the stage, just asked that I announce that we will be going live in terms of the development applications that we're receiving. So we're automating our building application management system as of end of February. So the date for us to go live, where you will now be able to submit your development applications, would be as of 28th of February 2025. Are you ready, Ntate Ben? Yes, I'm ready. Okay. Please just check if your mic is on.
Check, check.
Perfect.
Thank you, MMC. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ben Museme. Let me thank the presence of the MECs, the Premier in absentia, Major Waruna Ntate Greg Ntatisi, the Deputy Ntate Speaker, all the MMCs, the councillors, the leadership of the province, business, friends, and colleagues. Mine is a very short and quick one. Just a day after the family meeting, 15 March 2020, we went to Johannesburg to sign off a project with the Capital Hotel in Sandton. And on our arrival, we had Mazars accountants McIntyre Conveyancers, MDA, NIL, to conclude the agreement, the MOU with the Capital Hotel to bring 150 keys hotel investment into Bloemfontein. At that time, we're sitting at 198 million rand of an investment through the IDC. And the deal collapsed due to COVID. Fast forward post-COVID in 2022, there was the change of strategy. The capital went to Cape Town, went to Zimbabwe, in Durban, in Hoedspruit, in Mpumalanga side, and bought properties that were available post-COVID. We then had to start afresh and put a business plan together that went to the NEF, to the IDCs, to the CFAs at that time. And we met with the Radisson Hotel group that came on board. So as a city, we all know next to Mimosa, to St. Andrew, opposite the Mediclinic and the Total Garage, there is a piece of land there. So we continued with the business case to look at how best to do this project at that corner, which is about 5,100 square meters. So we're looking at 150 keys, a lobby lounge with a sky bar on the 7th, 8th floor, 2 times 100 packs, which basically speaks to a conferencing facility that you can increase from 100 to 200, and meeting rooms for business. For example, a weekend like this one where people are coming in, need to have meetings and fine-tune their presentations, including a spa. So for those that understands the layout of Bloemfontein properly, the hotel is Corner, Kellner, and Danpina. That's where there is Tattoos, Widari, the Vet, the old C-squared house. So this is what we currently working on. And out of this session, over the past 2 weeks, starting from the property in Daba to the infrastructure in Daba, we came up with actually call to action to say to the city, we welcome the summit, MMC, and the land parcels that are available within the city. We then re-looked at the project. I know it's going to be a tall order to convince the architects, MLC, who's our cost consultants, the engineers, etc. Because the project was signed off, the PEC was submitted, we've got LOIs from IDC, from CIFA, etc. But we always plan as human beings. The motive is always questioned by God if you go to Proverbs 16, verse 1. So out of this process of the last 2 weeks, Dr. Majoro, we will be fine-tuning and presenting, and we request that this expression of interest be extended, because most of the decision makers and the creative minds and the signatures are captured here for the last 2 days. So we will be submitting a proposal that talks to this investment to move over to Neville Hill. It's a location. It will fit well with the investment that is being done there. It will fit well with the restaurant, the Edge. It will fit well with the Madiba statue, the scenery. The key thing to this decision, as the investor, as I'm the decision maker, I'm the final signatory to the investment, it will save us close to 23 million, because Danpina we have to excavate for parking, to put parking. So Neville Hill has got enough ground, and it will be easier to have parking. You don't have to excavate on a mountain. So that is the first advantage. That saving of money will be channeled into developing our project on All Grace as it continues to be in the city center in terms of events and activities. So we won't be losing that money, Majoro. The money will still come into the city. We're sitting at currently, due to the past 2 to 4 years of planning, at 297 million. That is the MLC costing final figure. The excavation on the parking is about 13 million. And we will not need the skybar, which is about 7 to 8 million, to put a skybar at the top to give the views, because you're already on the 7th floor, ground level at Neville Hill. So that money will be redirected into the project. So we have made a pledge, MMC, and we will continue with our plan and ensure that the project happens within the reasonable time frame. I'm glad that Colonel is here. I know that you thought I'm coming to present a Section 4 Sasria event and a new concept on eventing. Please protect the IP. It's declared, and ensure that you keep us accountable to make sure that the project happens. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Tate Ben. I'm going to ask our political principals to just join me. I'm going to ask the MEC for Cocktail and Human Settlements, Mr. Tebuo Mokoena, to please join me on stage. I'm also going to ask Tate Ketso Makume to also please join me, MEC for Treasury and Destia. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but by the powers vested in me as the program director, it's not an everyday opportunity that I get a chance to do what I'm doing, but at least just one fella, I'll be flexing, showing hore, hey, linna ki khona ho tshwara matla fela hanyane. You can sit anywhere, MEC. You are welcome once again. I believe that you've been part of our session from yesterday. It's just a small surprise, nothing big, nothing too hectic. Remember, like the MMC said yesterday, when you are the program director, you are the only person in the room that has the correct program. So what you have on your desk is not necessarily the correct one, but it's just going to be a quick session that I'd like to have with the principals as they connect them. Okay. I think we're ready to go. Maybe let me have a seat and get comfortable. So I've asked the two MECs to join us because I believe that it would be interesting to just get the perceptions and also just get some insights and their reflections on what is happening here in Mangaung. And of course, for them to speak to what, from a Free State provincial government perspective, if we are feeding into the growth and developmental strategy of the province. So I'm going to start with Ntate Mokoena. Okay, maybe let me start with Ntate Makume, because you are already connected. Please just in 2 minutes, share your reflections on the summit.
Thank you, Program Director. And let me pass my greetings to my fellow colleague, Ntate Mokoena, the Executive Mayor, the Speaker, MMCs, and the beautiful people gathered here. Ladies and gentlemen. Look, my take is that by now we all know that in the Free State, the only metro we have is Mangaung. And this is one of the historical cities which give birth to many political parties and liberation movement. And you call it the City of Rose. definitely it must be clean. And this one city which has a team without players, without the coach and management, but with passionate supporters, whom I'm certain even yesterday, they might have produced a new song. So in so saying, I'm trying to indicate that Mangaung is both creative and innovative. There are many opportunities here that Mangaung need to explore in relation to the provincial government strategic growth and development. But three of them in the main is the central freight and logistic hub for the country. There's a need for Mangaung to really expand the airport. We really need to work hard to do this because we don't have the sea and definitely we don't have OR Tambo, but we can have a tri-airport here that can work as a logistic hub. That's the first one. The second thing, most strategic, which linked to my introduction, that Mangaung is the city of roses, it's tourism. We need to expand tourism that focuses on lot of number of things, but in the main, the medical packages of nearby provinces and the Lesotho. Mangaung must start to dream very big. There's nothing that stops you to think even about ICC. And lastly, because we are an agricultural province, Mangaung must also start to think about the agro-processing. So these are some of the three major issues that I want to bring to the fore to Mangaung to look at. But there's also the green economy, which many of the speakers have alluded to today. And I think it's one area that we must really start to look at. So, having said that, in line with our motto that Free State is a place to go to, not to go through, what comes into our mind as a province is Mangaung, because this is where things must happen. You think of the G20 meetings that are coming, our focus is Mangaung. So it means you really need to do a lot of work to ensure that Mangaung lead all municipalities around by examples and also give an impactful programs and projects and direction to the province. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, MEC. MEC Mokoena.
Thank you very much for being ambushed just when I was about to exit. Well, firstly, congratulations to Mangaung for hosting the summit. It's long overdue, or it was long overdue. We needed a conversation where we can talk about where do we take Mangaung in the next 10, 20 years. We needed to make sure that the municipality is placed firmly to understand the type of the infrastructure required, to drive growth, and not just simply growth, economic growth through infrastructure that delivers inclusivity and takes the city to the next level. Number of issues have been raised here, which are opportunities that I believe the municipality should seize with the necessary decisiveness. We have got to have a responsive administration that is able to work in tandem with business to make development possible and in good time. You can't drive economic development if your municipality is not in tune with that. We've got to critically address what has been sharply raised here, the turnaround time in terms of approvals that are coming mainly from business, be it of new development, rezoning. Ben just spoke about Radisson on the mountain. I'm not even sure how popular that is with me, but the city has got to respond quickly to make it happen. Remember, you don't have mining. You're still not doing all in manufacturing. You are much more playing at the tertiary sector, and that's where you need to strengthen your hand. That the Magume speaks about tourism, but we've got to do tourism with a slant of Bloemfontein, Mangaung. You can't sell tourism like KZN does, or Durban, or Cape Town. You've got to sell tourism Mangaung style. Then once you understand that unique feature, it becomes a strong selling point. Two, you need to command an infrastructure that is able to cope with the type of development and influxes that you're looking for. So your ability to marshal, to develop, and to consolidate infrastructure for growth, for human settlements and everything is quite key. The integration in terms of transport, it was raised earlier on. For me, that is critical, and it will allow the city to breathe, the lungs, which should allow you to grow in various ways. If you see the people who live in the far-flung areas, the time it takes for them to reach to the city, the congestion, the difficulties they go through, it's an issue that if I'm the executive mayor, I will give a top priority. We've got areas that are growing. Vista presents critical opportunities for a development of a serious business, the central business district that side. You've got Kampla industrial areas that requires intervention. You've got the areas where Transnet is at. They've also raised some of their issues. I think the city can go to a greater length. On the new frontiers, we don't have a convention center, yet we are at the heart of the country. It's a bit awkward, Executive Mayor. You've got flights that can link you with 3 to 4 provinces. You've got N1, that will soon be under threat, and I'm going to explain shortly. You need to use that position to be able to attract the country to come to you, because you are just 2 hours away from Cape Town. You're about an hour away in flight from Johannesburg, same as Durban. You need to use that as a strength. You cannot really ignore it. We need to cooperate with Lejoloputso because you are facing an imminent threat on the N1. The Northern Cape are far ahead in terms of the development of hydrogen. And that hydrogen is going to pull the entire traffic from N1 to N12. You know the devastation it will have for the Free State. So we need to swiftly move on the issues of the green energy and make sure that we play a role and protect both N1 and N3. Otherwise, without those 2 major arteries, the province is gone. And we have got to work with ourselves as the national, as a provincial government to make sure that we really retain the advantages and that are brought by the 2 major roads. Other than that, we are here to support, and thanks very much. We will wish to see those pledges come to reality. We will push as we work with ourselves to unlock some of the major infrastructure backlogs that must allow the city to breathe economically. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you're not done yet. Sorry. I think, MEC Makume, if you could perhaps just share some of the support programs that you have for municipalities, especially because we are sitting here with prospective investors. Your department, Destia, is doing quite a lot. And if you could just share some of those initiatives that you are supporting, at least the municipalities in the Free State, so that at least it gives the investors comfort to say that it's not one department and the metro working in isolation, but just to show that as the Free State, we are stable as a province. And the work that we are doing and to safeguard their investments, there's at least that stability and direction in ensuring that we are willing to retain them here and also attract new investors here.
Okay, thanks very much once more. I think the most known one was when we agree with COGTA that our towns and our municipalities must be clean. So we have developed a program that we call the most cleanest towns. You can't invite investors in an area that is not attractive. Our areas first need to be attractive. We are also trying to assist the COGTA in relation to the aging infrastructure, because part of our problem is the infrastructure that is aging. Through the Department of Treasury, we are looking at ways and means to ensure that we put the infrastructure that talks to the investor out there. But in relation to this year, there are a number of programs that we have agreed upon, and we are still on our journey to lure as many private sector and financial sector to come to the fore. Firstly, we've got the FDIs. These financial institutions by the department, they are having concerted efforts to ensure that there's knowledge about what they do and what it is that they offer. For instance, we've got the CIFRA now, which used to be CIFA and CEDA. And the combination came as the fact that you can't have two entities, the other one just focusing on development and the other one focusing on the finances. So there have been crisscrossing majority of municipalities. I think in 2 weeks' time we'll be here in Mangaung. We'll be meeting with the SMMEs locally here to showcase to them the opportunities that we have as those entities in government. The second thing, we are also trying to revise the kind of the financial support that must be given. We've also lobbied very hard for what we call the blending funding. What we have realized is that in the olden days, people were given grants, and these grants were used recklessly and carelessly. Majority of people who have been given grant, they can't account even on the establishment that they claim they had received those funds for. So, and then we compared them with the ones that have received the loans. And we have realized that the ones that have received the loans have been accounting and being responsible. So what we are trying to do now is to combine the grant and the fund. There will be a certain percentage of the grant to ensure that at least as an SMME, you are able to get an injection that will make your business to fund. But there's also an element of responsibility that we are putting, that we are also encouraging you to take loans. But these loans, the most important thing is that the moment you start to pay back, we are also enabling us as government to help the next person. The problem with grants is that it's just money that is going out to a single person and it's not being, we are not getting any benefits to it. The only benefit is when you say to us, I'm going to create 1 or 2 jobs. But this one of making sure that the money remain in circulation to also assist others, we can only get it through the loans. But there's also another thing that we are doing in relation to tourism. We have revived the Provincial Tourism Council, which includes district municipalities, in which we are identifying some of the hidden gems in your own local areas. We have declared that Fridays are going to be Friday tourism. Tourism does not mean only accommodation or going outside there in Cape Town, but tourism means just moving out of your own comfort zone and spend your cent just to the nearest place that you can think of and start to talk about the lifestyle in the area. For instance, if we are to leave today and identify one lifestyle restaurant, Ekasi, we will be touring that area. And the sense that we are going to live there, they will be able to circulate in that area. So we are then encouraging all the MECs, business people, that every Friday, let's go out of our own comfort zone, just visit the small lifestyle restaurants in our own townships and spend our cents there. This will bring the results or the outcomes in which the SMME will start to rely on yourself. So these things are being done in local municipalities. They are not being done at the provincial level. So the provincial government is going to help in that regard, but in working together with COGTA and individual municipalities. But I wanted to emphasize one thing that I'm going to raise here, the issue of building a capable state. You know, no investor will give you money if your municipality is not stable. If your municipality is not ethical, you've got people who are not correctly deployed as officials. So investment must be taken seriously because it must also talk to what we do as municipalities. So the responsibility here is that Mangaung must lead all of us to ensure that they create an environment where they are beginning to build an ethical and a sustainable and stable municipalities, in which an area where people will not have doubts about investing. But when they have invested, they will not have trust deficit issues. They will know that our money is safe because we've got an oiled, functioning machinery municipalities. So all what we are requesting is that we need to build an ethical developmental state with public service officials who have the necessary skills and qualification and are mindful that each and every cent that is being under their control and management should be spent responsibly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MEC. I'm going to go back now to Ntate Mokoena before I allow you guys to descend the stage. Ntate Mokoena, speaking on the developmental state, we see so many of the other states that at least are developed now. They start from a premise of looking at comparative advantage to say this is what we are good in. And perhaps we need to look towards the direction of industrialization and so many others. They have different typologies that they would look into considering their state. So I would want you to please just share your experience when you went to the smart city building model that you when you went to Egypt. What did you see? What are the lessons maybe that we can learn from? As this aspiring developmental state or aspiring smart city as Mangaung?
Okay, thank you. Well, Egypt has got one or two elements we don't have. They are mainly a military state. So when they take decisions, they implement. When we take decisions, we debate for 6 months and then we then implement for 2 years. There, it's a command type of a structure. And when you drive infrastructure through a command type of a system, things get to be done quickly. But these guys have built 10 cities in 7 years, and they've built a new capital without destroying the ancient Egypt. And what they've built there is wonders. There's only one thing that can drive growth and development, that is infrastructure. And they've built world class with mainly local money as well as local expertise, material and everything. That's how they've localized. And they've built state of the art. Once we had issued the request that we have got to take a Free State delegation to Egypt so that we can see an African solution in terms of how development can be pursued, as opposed to what we have been doing in the recent years. So we have got to change the way we do things. We democratize too much of things that have got to be done in the interest of our people. We have got to allow those with the responsibility to take decisions quickly, swiftly, and they've got to be done within the required plan. You have got to have a critical role between the public and the private sector. In fact, how they've built their what we call government and parliamentary precinct, they have built it with taking no cent from the state. They've provided land to the private sector, they've leased it, they've put development where private sector runs, and then with that money, then they built their own parliamentary and government precinct. And I can tell you it's quite beautiful. So we need to explore that as the entirety of the Free State. But they've used one thing. You use the term comparative advantage. You gun for the one thing that you are most effective and good at, not because you can do it. Hence I said you sell tourism Mangaung style. You can't pretend to be Cape Town or Durban. I used to criticize Makufe to say, Ben is here. You bring Anthony Milton to Free State, but you want to show him American Free State. Show the man America so that he can tell his Americans to come to Free State. That's what you do it. You bring me from Gauteng, you want to show me the best of Gauteng in bloom. No, show me bloom, because it's different from where I come. It is beginning to play onto your strength to allow you to grow. So we don't have to mimic anything or anyone. We must do our own thing and believe in it. And we hit on the areas where we're stronger at. So, and for us to do that, we need quite a robust institutions, like you're saying, that are quite responsive. If they are not robust, they are not responsive, there's nothing you're going to do. You can touch every aspect, public transport, you can touch any aspect of the economy, whether agriculture or anything. There's no point if your systems and institutions are not responsive enough. You want to export, your systems must allow you to move your goods within 24 hours to overseas. Do we do that? What do we need to do that? We've got to find an answer. You want to export to critical restaurants in Gauteng, you must move your goods within 3 hours after being taken out. So you have got to find a way that says, let's do things differently, but remember, if Mangaung goes down, Free State goes down. If Mangaung goes up, Free State goes up. It is too big a municipality in the Free State being a metro. And that's why you see us sitting here the whole day, because we've got a keen interest. Where are you taking it to? Because our destiny is tied with the destiny of the municipality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just before you go off, I'll just allow Tate Makume to make a parting shot and just announce the plans for investment in the Free State from their perspective as a department. Then I will allow my MECs to then be released. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's also thank the Mangaung Metro to have led this journey. We have made a commitment that says 5 of the biggest municipalities in the Free State must go the same route that you have taken, because we are planning one big provincial investment summit, which is going to be held here in Bloemfontein. And we know why. But the reason why we are announcing it here, because we want Ntate Majoru to speak to his colleagues and share some of the experiences, the things that we have done to put this work together. It's a very wonderful job. I've already have the sense of what is going to come after this, particularly if we can emphasize on the follow-up. People will come and pledge, but if we can lack the follow-up, it's going to be a problem. But I'm so excited about this initiative, and that is why we are bringing the Provincial Investment Summit here in Bloemfontein, to ensure that you lead, as Ntate Mkwena Achilo, you lead by example, and we ensure that all municipalities start to deduce some of the best lessons from Mangaung. So thanks very much for having afforded us also this opportunity to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think in terms of me improvising, allowing the political principals to join me on stage, City Manager, as you get ready, it was just for us to reflect on at least how did this turn out. And my reflections and what I'm deducing from what they've mentioned is that there's a lot to do. But when they are saying Mangaung, they are not just saying the municipality. So everything that they've mentioned is what we all need to do together. There's nothing that we will be able to do without actually bringing all the investors, prospective investors on board. So the work that needs to be done is not just looking at the municipality, but it's also facing you seated here in front of us, because the reason for putting this up was because we know that alone we will not get far. And City Manager, please come up. So we are imploring you to say, I think from this specific summit, there's been areas that we looked into. It was infrastructure, it was tourism, there's opportunities in agriculture, there's opportunities. You can sit down, CM. I think let's make it a comfortable session. There's opportunities as well in building a smart city, and of course that would be coupled with the safety of the city. And I think as and when you leave here, at least think of at least one, minimal, one sector that you would want to plow into, one that you would want to invest into. We did present the offerings and the packages that we have in Mangaung, but we don't want to limit it to what is in the booklet that you might already have been given. We are not stringent in the opportunities that we are open to receiving, so please do come in, step forward and saying, this is what I'm pledging, or this is what I would want to submit as an expression, so that it also helps us grow as a city, it also helps us grow as a province. The city manager has joined me, and city manager, you are going to assist in giving a summary of the proceedings. And I think this would also be a point where you touch on the pledges that we have received, and I will now hand over to you.
Thanks very much, Ichudi. Maybe I might just throw in these words. I think we have done well. The summit has been organized well, but I'll leave the vote of thanks to those that are supposed to give the vote of thanks. We have decided to divide the summary and way forward into a summary to be done by myself, and the Executive Mayor, Gregory Ntatisi, will be providing the way forward as well. I will start with the pledges before I give summary. And I want to give context to the pledges. Pledges are pledges until they are realizable. I want to put context into that. There are processes that will need to unfold. I think we have heard some of the people who were on stage here talking about access to land. Maybe some of the pledges may not even be realizable, taking cognizance of our own regulatory framework. But it remains critical that we make these pronouncements. And of course, my thinking would be to say within the next 1 month, we should be in a position to solidify the pledges as made. We'll be meeting with various companies that have made pledges to see if these pledges are realizable. So it's critical that we give it context. My colleagues, the HOD Technical Services as well as HOD Noktula, were saying, please don't make these big pronouncements. What if they are not realizable? The numbers, that is to say, the numbers are very big, ladies and gentlemen. The numbers are quite big, and of course, our prayer is that all these pledges must be realizable. Otherwise, or at least even 70-75% of them, we would want to see these pledges being realizable. So I'm just going to read them without giving a lot of explanation. The BGC, as explained yesterday, they are pledging 23 billion. The DPROP Consulting are making a 4.2 million pledge. Something is not coming together. I think he repeated the DPROP, but we'll correct that. Nashua is making a pledge of 500 million. The Bloomdale Hospital is making a pledge of 1 billion. KAU Connect is making a pledge of 20 million. Bandile and Associates are making a pledge of 100 million. You must listen carefully. That's where we get numbers. The Heritage Trust is making a pledge of 400 million. Now I'm making the big one. The video that you have just seen, Neutrino Energy SA. But I will just say it. They are making a pledge of 50 billion euros, which converts to 990 billion for us. So in total, there are pledges worth 990 billion, 236 million, 700,000.